where do I even begin? A lot has happened, and the thing is that every day not necessarily feels the same, but I do so much, and I kind of forget the task that I've done and move on to the next thing. I never have time to sit back and reflect on what I have done, and I think that truly has changed the way I appreciate time, appreciate what I've done and reflected. And so making videos like this, I think, will help me in that endeavor. And also, it's just pretty intriguing to see where this type of conversation takes me, because I usually don't have this. I'm just work, 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 and then we see where time goes. But to my future self, to my future Alex, I'm you, but in the middle between M1 and M2. So I'm in that summer phase. Everyone has told you by this point that you needed to focus on research, get publications, do shadowing, do whatever. There's a ton of stuff that you have to do ahead of time prior to, starting your second year, where you're doing 6 months of preclinical. So you're still learning textbook stuff. You're going to do infectious diseases, then move on to gastroenterology, then do oncology, hematology, or not hematology, we already done that. What else? Rheumatology, endocrinology. So you're going to finish up the rest of the PhD, and you even have signed up ambitiously to join, to be an anatomy TA. So we'll see how that goes. But secondly, is that in that second phase of second year, you're going to transition into the hospital, which is what obviously you signed up for. It's what you wanted to do. And so there's going to be a lot of angst and excited nervousness, I guess, is a better way to put it, where you want to be a good doctor for all the patients, regardless of whatever specialty. Like, people will hear that you have done a lot of work in orthopedics and neurosurgery, that going to, like, let's say OBGYN, or going to internal medicine. That's, I don't know, perhaps in hematology. Like, people will say that, oh, don't tell them that you want to do neurosurgery, or else they're going to think that you're not in it. But in reality is that, from a first-gen perspective, at least from us, what we understand is that we know that the stuff that we learn in any of those internal medicine specialties are going to be extremely useful, like in the future, when it comes to helping your family out. You may have a family member who has a cardiology based problem, right? And even though yourself, you may not be a cardiologist, you at least know, like, hey, okay, you need to do EKG, you need to do some cardiac enzyme workups, you have to do an ultrasound to see structurally what's wrong with the heart, what's different, and then from there prescribe whichever you need for whatever pathology you find. And so that's really helpful to know ahead of time. And I know over time you will lose the specifics, but you'll at least know the generalities that you'll be able to help your family. And so that medicinal knowledge flows through you to the rest of your family. So you act as that arbiter, I guess, like the gateway. And what's really nice about that is you go into MCY, at least what I'm thinking right now, which is you'll appreciate every single rotation. And the mindset that I have right now is I want to complete research. I want to be done with it in a month's time, where I'm just focused on being the best doctor I possibly can. That is really what I want out of this next year and a half. Because after that year and a half, once we are in January 2028, it's going to be insane. But we take our boards, step 1 and step 2 back to back. And basically, if you are successful at focusing on becoming a doctor, not really worrying too much about research, it'll come in your third year and fourth year. But you really are focusing on becoming the best doctor you can be, I can see your fulfillment at the end of your medical education being the most. I think that's the best way you would have med school in terms of your education. Obviously, there's going to be the downfalls and the highs, all that stuff. But I think right now we're in a very good place. I think that we put a lot of productivity out there, and in the next month, I'm going to try my best to make your life easier by finishing all the projects that I possibly can. Whereas I'll look at manuscripts, write them up, polish them up, get them ready to submit from journal to journal, and then just really, really focus on making sure that we get those submitted, accepted, and then those are your first authors right there. And you'll accumulate at least, I think, 10 first authors, which is going to be chef's kiss. You'll be ready to go. And then you have your database studies that you're setting up for the incoming M1s, so that they can focus on stuff that they can start on right away, and then gives them gateway to an agency to start doing their own projects, whether it's adjunctly to that or whether it's something completely different. But the point is that you're helping the next generation, which is the most important and the thing you want to leave behind. So a lot has happened this summer. For example, we worked on the FDA mod database, and we got 4 papers out of that. So we're going to see where that ends up taking us. But hopefully each of those get accepted to a pretty good journal. If not, just get accepted somewhere. Secondly is that you're trying to get a lot of this IRB stuff out of the way. So you're working on the AI video endonasal approaches to pituitary resection. So that's also a good thing that you're doing, working with multi-centered studies, learning how the IRB goes. Secondly is that you're trying to get this meningioma database like fully off the ground by yourself. Basically, no one else is helping you. Nobody wants to help, which is pretty insane because once you have this database fully collected, everything is golden, genuinely. Um, what else do we have? We have a bunch of epilepsy outcomes research that we're doing right now that we're really focused on with Dr. Youngerman, and he's like a really cool doctor and just overall person to know. So keep up that work. We're working on really cool AI policy stuff, like genuinely looking at inpatient only lists, being basically excommunicated from the Medicare and Medicaid. So it's really cool to see the impact and the patterns and the trajectories that are going to follow afterwards. And then you also did some stuff on how AI is going to really dictate clinical decision making. And then you also threw in a wild card, which is like, oh, how is AI going to impact not only just clinical decision making, but also governance and how we manage a lot of these surgeries, looking retrospectively and prospectively, right? So it's kind of those last two manuscripts are a blend of each other for sure, but they are distinct in terms of the thesis that you're conducting. And so those are very great to start off with. And I think that you're going to really breach into skull-based surgery, which is going to be amazing, genuinely. I think that's going to be one of the best papers that you're going to do because thanks to my boy Shiv, Shiv the surgeon, he actually like set you up very well to understand these concepts, get the groundwork, and really start doing more research outside of just the traditional clinical landscape. You're getting into more of the business stuff, even though you don't necessarily have an MBA yourself. And you're even your mentor, I won't name drop him just for privacy's sake, but even your med student mentor, he also gave you props, even though he himself went through MBA school. It's really cool that he's able to learn from you and you're able to learn from him, to have this like bi-directional exchange of information and build each other up. So it's really cool. But yeah, dude, your summer research has been going really well. You've done a lot of successful projects. You're going to get put on even like the ISER lab stuff as well. So that's been working out really well. Please keep trying to make contact with the residents, everyone that you can, because they're going to be your connections to how to do very, very high level research, especially when it comes to applying machine learning to imaging. Now, it's basically applying machine learning to images and MRIs and basically trying to use that to retrospectively determine with a good enough sensitivity and specificity of what is, for example, a brain-only metastases versus a brain also. And that's pretty much it. So it's really cool to see this entire journey go from the bottom to the top. And I mean, you're trying your best to document it, but I think a more free-flowing video like this would be better serve you and also just other people hearing it as well. So I think that's really, really cool. And yeah, dude, I mean, even before the summer started, or even during more so, I want you to reflect on also the good times during this time, especially New York City, the year of 2026, summer 2026 was amazing. Like, it was phenomenal. You got to enjoy the Knicks win in early May, early June. Then you got to watch the World Cup as well with friends, going out all the time. And then you also had the UFC stuff, the fight cards that, even though our GOAT lost to Poria, it was still fun to watch with friends nonetheless. And then you have all the free time in the world to go for runs. You have all the free time to just do other things outside of it. You really focused on playing guitar, so you didn't really lose the skills. Same with saxophone, you just continued to play. And so those were good ways to mentally release yourself from the research. And I think it benefited you. I think you got the most productivity. Yes, some would argue that you can get more, but I don't think that's the point of this anymore. You already worked your ass off when it came before starting med school, doing all that research ahead of time, and going into med school, yes, you did a lot, but now it paid off because you literally do not have to worry about research. At least I don't think. Obviously, I'm very naive. I don't know what it's going to be like in 3 years. Maybe the average number of publications a neurosurgery applicant has is now 50, and that's expected, which would be insane. And I don't think it's worth. The juice is not worth the squeeze. So, if that's the case, I'm so sorry. I should have done more. But in any other case, I don't think you'll look at this and think to yourself, "Oh, no, you definitely could have done more." I don't think so. I think that you'll see this time and you'll look back at it and you'll think, I could have done so much more, but in the sense that it's not that I wasted time, it's the sense that I've developed expertise and novelty that it's immeasurable, And yeah, I'm very excited to see how far we're going to take our medical knowledge for this next upcoming year because, dude, I want to get in the clinic. I want to help patients. I want to put myself in those situations where we can really go all in. And so, yeah, anyways, that's enough glaze for the future. I think let's reflect on some of the past stuff. So we had the medical Spanish courses as well over the summer, which it's been fine, honestly. It hasn't been anything where it's too difficult. Obviously, there's medical terminology that you just don't know, but we're gonna learn it really fast because we're cracked like that. Um, and that's the whole summer, honestly, genuinely. I mean, yes, you had Josue visit you, you had friends from college that you got to see, so you had a lot of time to spend time with other people, but now it's time to lock in. It really is time to sit down for 4 hours every day, just lock in, study, 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 do your free clinic work, do your club work, and then really just try to push yourself outside of the research, like genuinely. I think that's really the most important thing. And then otherwise, like, dude, you're absolutely killing me, man. Yeah, I think that's, I don't know. I'm very grateful. I'm grateful for everything we've done. I'm grateful for my parents, grateful for my friends, grateful to God, most importantly. And man, it's remarkable. But before even the summer happened, obviously went through renal, we went through cardio, pulm, neuro, hematology, psychiatry, both adult and pediatric, learning how to do case write-ups. We did anatomy, the entire body. We did biochemistry, genetics, pharmacology. There's another one that it's off the tip of my tongue. Immunology, that's what it is. Immunology. And then we did obviously evidence-based medicine as well, incorporating into this, and foundations of clinical medicine. We did a ton of stuff in this past year, just knowledge-wise. And I know the biggest thing that you have, at least at this very moment, the biggest thing on your mind is like, I have all this knowledge that I need to review before I go into the NBME exam on August 28th, 2026, starting my second year, and you really want to crush it. And I'm going to try my best to like really work on it, but obviously we don't know what's going to end up happening. I mean, I'm excited to put in the work. I am. And I think you'll hopefully be pleased by the amount of work that I'm putting in, because it's going to be a lot. It is. There's been a lot of things that you learn. Oh, histology, pathology. We also did all that entirely too. So technically we have pathomas chapters 1 through 3 already done by this point, but we'll review that too. So that's been good. Fitness, you've been doing really well. You've been enjoying it. And yeah, just trying to life max in a way. So yeah, it's been really good. Made some good friendships, relationships on the way. You met a lot of really cool people. Some that were like not necessarily falling out situations, but you lost touch with because incompatibility, or they just weren't going to be in your life. But then you found your people who you can really confide in, who you can trust, and those are the people you really need. You don't need any more. And it's okay to make small talk with others that, you know, you're just kind of there, but they're not really your type of vibe. You know what I mean? So that's all I wanted to say. But yeah, man, you just keep grinding. And the first year was great. I think that all the exams you did really well. Practicals did even better. And obviously thanks to your teammates as well, who really helped out in that block 2 exam. Yeah, block 2 exam, practical. So Abby and Danielle, thank you so much. So yeah, that's really been most of the developments. There really hasn't been anything else on my mind other than the fact that we just need to keep grinding. We just need to keep pushing, and we need to embrace the mindset of like, we're going to do even better. And that's literally it, because we can do better. We know we will do better in the future. So, I mean, the only things I have to say really are just keep hitting the grind, keep doing the boards and beyond, keep pushing yourself to really like go all in on the studying. Like genuinely, you have all this time now. You have the grind. I'm gonna finish the research in about a week's time. That's my goal at least. So you're really just gonna focus in on the grind and keep doing social media stuff. You got some special things planned, I know for sure. Hopefully, man, that'd be the dream. So for those of you that don't know, I am officially, as of like today's recording, I am officially a business owner. And that's like one of the things that it's crazy to say, especially as a medical student. One of the productive things I did in my time was anytime I was kind of like tapped out of research, I didn't want to focus on it or work on it. It was really just to focus on research building, building software basically, and creating a company out of it. And it's all like prototype, and it's basically just me. And that's usually, I have a lot of connections right now with friends who know people like that are in business, software, finance, software security, that are just have been instrumental in helping you develop this app, and I'm excited to see where it turns out, because I genuinely think it's gonna, like, it's a big problem in medicine, even in my own studies right now, me as a person. So I think that this would really benefit everyone out there. So we'll see what ends up happening. We'll see. I'm yawning just because I talk fast, and for some reason, whenever I talk really fast, I yawn. That's just how it is. But this app, I digress, but this app is gonna be, it's gonna be something special, hopefully. If not, it's a bust. Hopefully you just break even, and then that's it. You just move on with your life, which that's what the summer's for. It's for experimenting. It's for finding things. But if it does work, man, and you are able to pay off med school, like, don't forget, the next thing after paying off med school is to pay for your parents' home. And then after done with that, you go buy yourself a Porsche GT3 RS. Just kidding. No, we're not materialistic like that. We're gonna basically reinvest it into the company over and over and over, and then hopefully over the span of 2 years, I could imagine in 2 years it could go huge, but in the span of 2 years, basically build a whole, like, not just a monopoly, but build a infrastructure that's very strong, not only in the production and the engineering and maintenance of the app, not only in the marketing, and not only in the finances and in distribution and feedback and reducing churn rate, but just basically making sure that everything is solid, and that we always find ways to iterate and continue innovating within the app. And I think that's really one of the biggest things that I want to keep with me moving forward. But I understand that business is tough. Business, you have to be involved 24/7, and at the same time you have to be involved 24/7 in medicine. So balancing that, it's like pulling you in different directions. But if it does work out, if it works out, you could see yourself paying off everything and then using that as like a strength in your application, because it's something that you're not starting it because of the residency applications. You're starting it because you have your own personal reasons, whether it's monetary, paying for your own stuff, and finding other ways to be innovative and creative in terms of how you repay your parents, or how how you're able to support them too as a medical student, which would be crazy to say, but also it's something that if you really are interested, it shows your passion. Passion's not even the right word. It just shows that your creativeness to still be focus on your studies, be a good doctor, but at the same time take that to the next level and support not only yourself but your parents and your family. And I think that if you're able to do that, it shows to your work ethic. And listen, we understand that there's certain pockets of time where we have more time to dedicate to other things and be proactive than other times. For example, once we're in the hospital, it's going to be very hard to manage a company like that, and you may need to get someone to help you out in terms of the admin stuff and everything, which makes sense. But on the other hand, which is on the other hand, like when you do have these pockets of time, you're able to go all in on it. You're able to just go, keep going and iterate and continue building something that is truly yours, because you're not limited by anyone. You're not being slowed down. You're just going and going and going and going. And I think that's super powerful, because a lot of people will go through like the bureaucratic BS, whatever it may be, the process, and they won't be able to get anything out of it in the end. And I think that that's something truly that no one else is able to understand, if that makes sense. So I mean, this is just general advice, but like people who are trying to build their companies or trying to start research, or just do something on their own, they have this idea in their head. The biggest piece of advice I can give you right now is really, one, have that idea, and I kid you not, use the voice memo feature. Just speak out loud that idea into the voice memo so you have it. If you can generate a transcription off of that, send it to ChatGPT, have it do like a full what's it called? A full, it's not scaffolding. It's like a statistical analysis plan, but just modify it and make it a business plan essentially. And it comes up with everything, like in terms of the back end, the front end, software, your stack that you're gonna run, the way you're gonna market it, the types of offers you're gonna do, the way you structure the offers, the copy, just everything in general. That's the first thing, is like voice memo everything. The second thing is that you wanna have not necessarily connections, but you want to have people that, like mentors basically, but for business, right? Mentors in research, they're going to help you do the research. It's not that you're relying on them to do it for you. You're relying on them so that you can say, hey, I have this question about this project and this is where I'm at. Like, can you help me out? And then they do help you out. And then that's great. But for the business side, you want to have people that either not necessarily have the same product as you, but like something similar. For example, you look at the infrastructure, right? My thing is software. I can go ask a different person who's building a software company, even though it's completely different, even though it's nothing like mine. For example, I have a friend building a like video editing software that basically does video editing for you. Mind you, that's has to consist of more complex infrastructure and AI fine tuning. So one, I'm not dealing with any form of video formats at all. Secondly, is that I'm not reliant on generating captions, anything like that for this software that I'm building. It's much more simple than that. Then you have to look at APIs, if you're doing calls on them, or if you're just doing one singular one, how much agency are you giving your users to use that API. There's a ton of different things that you will troubleshoot on your own, but having that person that you can talk to and that's able to give you advice on like backend infrastructure, their philosophy when it comes to user agency, those are very big things that will make you move a lot faster if you have that guidance, because you can do it, trial and error, mess up here and there, but I think even like yes, that's in a way that's good because you trial it, you figure it out right away if it's good or not, and then you iterate. But you can avoid that by talking to friends, hearing their critiques, and seeing how you can improve yourself. And so I think that not a lot of people do focus on that, and or sorry, not a lot of people focus. Not a lot of people have like those connections, and because you do, this is general advice, but if you do have those connections, utilize them. Like please, even if they're just friends but are business like oriented, talk to them. Just have a chat with them. I mean, especially if they're homeboy, you know, just have a chat with them, get to know them in terms of the business side, what experience, expertise do they bring, and then you just kind of pick their brain at the idea that you have. And especially like first, it's better to formulate the MVP, minimal viable product, first. Like if you have the concept of it and you have it solidified and you thought it through from a business lens, not necessarily from a product design lens, because like that can always be perfected and polished on a separate occasion. Really, it's the business end that matters, because again, why is it that so many people do a market analysis before they even begin building their app? Why is it that when you go pitch to VC firms, you have to have all the numbers crunch of like how much the market availability, and then secondly is like how much profit you're going to generate, this and that, like projections. They do that because they want to validate the proof of concept. In this case, they want to see that the money is flowing there. VCs want to see where the money's going, and then are you standing in front of it? If you are, they're going to help you stand more in front of it. You know, I guess that's the general concept, but maybe I'm wrong. And then secondly is that it's very similar to research. Like the way people do literature reviews, you first look at the literature to see if has it been done before. Is it something that if I were to do it, it's novel, and because of that novelty, it's therefore research. It's answering a question that hasn't been answered before in human literature. That's the same thing, but with business. So there's a lot of similarities with research and business, and the fact that you're doing both, I think, is really testing your critical analytic skills, because with the business building, there is no answer. Like you figure out the answer on your own. And in a similar way with research, yes, when you first start off, you're being told what to do. So there's very clear answers. You have to figure out what those answers are, and you may need a lot of advice, but the answers are there. But later on, once you start with these research designs, figuring out limitations, strengths, and how to go about the research process, you realize that it becomes a lot like business, because again, it's really focused on it's not even skill, it's not skill building, it's not previous experience, but it's patterns, if that makes sense. You'll recognize patterns of different designs that you read, and you're able to conglomerate them into something new. And by patterns, I mean specifically like when you read about, I don't know, I'm trying to think of one. Comparative studies looking at LITT, laser interstitial thermal therapy, versus radiofrequency thermocoagulation versus freehand microsurgery. Like, you know that each of those procedures have different variables, different complications, different things you have to account for, right? For open microsurgery, you may not necessarily have the same amount or for example, you may not have the same EBL compared to LITT. I don't know if this is true or not, by the way. I'm just making stuff up. But point is that you may have to consider different variables based off of different things, and that requires a different level of one, pattern recognition, but then also like critical thinking. And you build the critical thinking separately, but the pattern recognition comes with experience. And then so when you combine the two and you coalesce them together, your just your ability to do research, your ability to become this doctor that is a physician leader just multiplies. And I don't know if I'm like yapping or talking out of my butt, but the whole idea that I'm trying to explain right now to my future self, and maybe he agrees or not, but also to the general public, is that it's really cool what I'm building right now. And I feel like there's a lot of applicability into medicine. And even if this thing does become successful, I'm using it more for like skill building as the experience rather than, oh, okay, now I'm gonna drop out of med school. That's gonna be my whole bio. I'm gonna run with it, talk, crap about the med system, even though I have nothing bad to talk about or say about it. So I don't know, man. Just there's a lot on my mind, and you can tell how very evident it is based off how fast I talk, the way I'm trying to get these ideas across without, trying to waste everyone's time. Maybe I am wasting everyone's time. Maybe I'm wasting my own. Maybe I should just get to work right now. And honestly, my cloud code has stopped running, so I should probably go check on it. But anyways, future me or anyone else watching this, I don't know, it's kind of weird to address it, but I hope you learned some stuff. You get to look back on this with very fond memories, and I don't know, man, just keep grinding.